It's Amber Bradley, your host for the unscripted side of LP. It's Talk LP podcast time.
3, 2, 1. 'Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it.
What's up, everybody? It's Amber Bradley, host to Talk LP podcast. I'm fangirling over our guest, who executive director of risk management at Resorts World. That's right, in Las Vegas, one of my favorite places to go. So I was totally stalking you on LinkedIn and said, okay, I can't wait to talk to you, partly because you're pretty much an expert in risk management, which I think is super cool, but also one of my favorite places. So welcome to the podcast, Mark Habersack. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you, Amber, for inviting me. This is really a pleasure for me to be a part of this program.
Well, I'm so glad. Not only because if you haven't been to Resorts World, you're completely missing out, number one. But the other piece is I find it fascinating, the world of risk management and the fact that all the pieces of the organization that risk management teaches. So talk a bit about kind of your background in risk and how you became, I guess, really in Las Vegas, which I would say, if you think about all the places on the earth, that's probably a pretty high risk place to be. So tell us a little bit about your role at Resorts World and your career.
Well, my career is quite long, so we don't really have enough time to cover the whole thing
Yeah,
because
sum it up.
I've been doing this for about 40 years. So,
4-0.
and this is 40, and that's not even my first career. So I'm old. I'm really old. Somebody asked me, how old are you? And I said, well, they were digging at the Dead Sea one day and they found a tablet there. And when they deciphered the tablet and kind of figured out what was written on it, it turned out that it was a letter to Moses. And Moses tripped on a rock when he parted the Red Sea, and it was a claim denial letter from me because it wasn't in the course and scope of employment to trip on the rock.
I think all the risk management executives out there are going to love that for sure. But so what is it like, risk management in Las Vegas?
It couldn't be more of a cooler job in the world. I mean, being in risk management, I have to count my blessings. I never thought growing up I would get into risk management. I didn't even know what it was aside from a show on Seinfeld that talked about risk management and George Costanza on it. But I have been so blessed to have been able to get into risk management and to follow this career path, because I originally was in operations and in food and beverage for the first part of my career. When I got into risk management, there wasn't a lot of education about risk. There were some programs out there, but really risk management has come into its own in the last maybe 20 years, 25 years. And it's a huge field because you could be a risk manager, but you can also go into different paths of risk management, like in claims management, accounting, for actuarial accounting. You can get involved in the litigation side of it. You can get in work comp, guest liability stuff, even some of the safety components, HR components, contracts, all kinds of stuff. So it is, and of course insurance, which everybody just loves insurance, right? So
yeah, it's riveting.
Yeah, and so there are so many different career paths one could take and jump into other career paths. Being in a resort casino environment, I get the best of all worlds because I'm involved in every department imaginable. Everything has got a risk, and we have to evaluate that risk, and we have to balance out what that risk is. So when you look at a resort, and Amber, you said you were here, so you saw probably a quarter, maybe half of the size of the property you might have seen. There is so much that goes on behind the scenes that people just have no clue or no idea. And I kind of compare it to being a city. So if you look at what a city does, that's what a resort does. We have our security department, which would be a police force. We have food and beverage. We have retail. We have entertainment. We have pools, spas, fitness facilities, showrooms, clubs. So everything
And
that you can
let me
imagine.
interrupt you 1 second, Mark. I'm so sorry, but I have to interrupt you to say the Resorts World Spa is one of the best on the planet. Like, it's nuts. Okay. So I'm sorry, that is a girl fangirling like comment. But if you think you know a spa, you haven't been to Resorts World. So, but anyway, your point about it being a city is a great one. I mean, talk about all the different things that I interrupted you, but like you were saying, you got nightclubs and talk about, you got a ton of people walking around there half in the bag.
Yeah, people don't realize how many, we have thousands of employees that are working in the back of the house and in front of the house. So when you're encountering the person that's the food server or the person that's greeting you at the hostess stand, the checking into the hotel, that's a whole operation unto itself. IT departments, telecommunications. The list just goes on. I mean, facilities alone, we have our own carpenter shop, metal shop, tile shop, paint shop, HVAC shop, plumbing shop. It goes on. We run a robust water management program here. So there's just so many transportation. We have our own fleet. So with all that and the kitchens that are in the back of the house, they're not even on the casino floor. They're actually 2 levels below. We have a main kitchen facility with butcher shops, pastry shops. We call the ghost kitchen.
It sounds like you're describing like an iceberg, right? Where you only see like a little bit, but then you have this huge root system down there that's keeping it all running.
Yes, and nobody sees the trucks that come in and out of here 24 hours a day because we have an underground complex that the trucks come in through security and they offload at our underground loading docks. We also have a unique thing that's not at the other properties at this time in Vegas, but we have the Vegas Loop. So the Tesla tunnel actually comes to our property and gets back to the convention center building in 90 seconds. No traffic lights, no traffic.
So let me get this straight too. Like, so for your role, do you have a team of thousands of people that help? Because you have to keep all these people safe, don't you? Not including not only the workers, but the guests that are there.
It's a very good question, and you will be surprised. My staff, including myself, is 4. And we sit on 88 acres of land.
So you don't sleep. You never sleep.
Well, there are some nights that might be true. But everybody works in every other department in that sense. So we have great teams here at Resorts World Las Vegas, and they're well-trained teams. So most nights I can get through the night and sleep. That's not an issue. But I tell you, if you're planning to come in to do something, you really got to be flexible because your day may not be anything that you think it's going to be when you walk in the door.
Yeah.
Because there's so many components to what goes on, especially when you've got a lot of guests that are coming in. We've got 3,500 hotel rooms here in phase 1, And as we expand, ultimately, our goal is to be over 10,000 rooms when we're done. So when you think about 3,500 rooms and the staff it takes just to maintain those rooms and to ensure that the guest has a great guest experience when they come here, is something else. I didn't even touch on the convention spaces that we have. And we have so many conventions, we've had to turn away conventions. So we've been expanding over the 3 years we've been open. We're already expanding convention space throughout the property. We have almost 50 restaurants in our property.
Yeah. And concert space. You had Katy Perry there when I was there. Like, you got to keep her safe and make sure her green room only has blue M&Ms or whatever she wants, right? That's probably not your role. I'm just saying, you got celebrities in the building.
Well, working at other properties, and I have opened this is my 21st property that I've opened. And I've opened properties around the world. But one of the unique things when I worked at MGM Grand was the work that I also had to do with the Grand Garden Arena and to meet a lot of the entertainers. And you pointed out the blue M&Ms. Entertainers have their wish list on what they want in their green room.
Wouldn't it be nice?
That has to be provided.
Yeah.
But we also have to take care of our team members. We have to take care of our executives. So that's a whole other facet within our realm of things. So a typical day may not be a typical day in life of risk management. We also have surveillance. We got thousands of cameras. We have gaming surveillance, and we have what we call non-gaming surveillance. We have parking structures, sidewalks, landscape. We have a whole horticulture department.
Good grief. So let me ask you then, because you have a very lean team, I think is like the understatement of the world. But what is your take on leadership and how I guess if I was in your shoes, I would come in every day and just go, I can't do this. Like, this is so overwhelming. But like, so do you have a specific way you approach such a multi-pronged, like anything could happen type of approach, like with your small team, or like, is there something that you're like, okay, I operate by this principle?
That's a great question, for sure. So our team is lean and mean. Yes, it is. You have to know how to multitask. You also have to prioritize what's going on. What do I need to address at this moment, at this time? Don't put off things either and put them on the back burner. I'll get to it later. I'll get to it. You can't do that because you'll never get to it, because every minute of every day, something else is happening. Somebody's, sending me a Teams message. Somebody's calling. Somebody's emailing. Somebody needs something that's on it. We also have to train. We have to work with the departments. I have to help train security on what we're looking for in risk management and so on. So the beauty about risk management is I'm not confined to one area. So when I worked in food and beverage, I would have a restaurant, okay? And that was my world. Those four walls, that was the world I lived in and I operated in. In risk management, I have to operate in every single department, every single space throughout the entire organization. So, and that's just dealing with the property. That's not even dealing with when I'm dealing with a guest claim or litigation, or having to deal with work comp, or training, or any of these other things that we have to do in risk management. So you're not going to get bored. If you say you're bored in risk management, then you're not doing something.
Yeah, you're not doing it right, right?
There's always something to do, whether it's walking the property, looking to point out if there's any hazards, partnering with the safety team, partnering with our sustainability people, having meetings weekly with legal, sourcing, IT, security. There are constant amount of meetings that go on to make sure that we're abreast of what's happening. We also have a lot of advanced planning. So F1 is 6 months away. We're already planning F1 at 6 months out. And we're already planning New Year's Eve already.
Wow.
And we're not quite into June yet. So by the time an event happens, all that planning, all that stuff is behind us because we're already moved forward into something else throughout the property.
Let me ask you, because I know this wasn't on the list. However, as you're talking, I'm like, oh my gosh, like you mentioned some of the technology assets that you have obviously at your disposal, but you would have to utilize technology for sure to be able to manage just the square feet alone, not to mention all the little intricacies of that footprint. Are there certain technologies that you're like, oh, this is my go-to, or like, this is what is really our secret sauce? Not that you can say, I don't know if you can say, you can't say, but from the subject of technology, I'm just interested if you're like, these are the things that we just love. I don't know.
We were the first new property to come onto the Strip and be built in the last 10 years. We built this property based on the latest, greatest technology. So we are far in advance of technology than any other property on the Las Vegas Strip on it. So the issue or the challenge with technology is how do you make technology talk to each other? So security uses a security program to do their work, to write their reports. I use a technology to track what claims activity that we have, what litigation we have. We have to get our technology to talk to their technology. So that involves a lot of back of the house programming, companies to collaborate with each other to say, how do we make it work? How does this program going to talk to this program? And what is this program actually going to need from the other program? On top of that, as technology has advanced, even with our insurance companies and our claims folks, third-party administrators, our technology needs to go out to these third parties and communicate with that technology as well. And in the meantime, all our technology within the hotel, whether it's a facilities program, housekeeping program, the check-in desk, the lost and found program, all of these programs have to have a point where it's got to be able to communicate, talk, and we have to be able to get data in real time and reports in real time.
Yeah.
So we count on dashboarding. We count on what we need to do.
You guys build your stuff in-house mainly, or do you go like, are you like no, let's look for a provider? Or are you like, look, we're so unique, we got to do it ourselves?
Well, it's funny because when we opened the property, we didn't use the technologies that other properties use. So we were leveraging technologies that had never been thought of to be used in our industry. Some of it worked and still is working today, and some of it has not worked. So, you learn from mistakes, but if you don't make mistakes, you can't ever learn. So that's a big takeaway. Don't be afraid to make the mistake, make the move. When I got into risk management, one of my questions, because I knew nothing, right? I got hired into HR from an operations standpoint. They told me I was going to do employee parties. Well, back in the day, I knew how to party, and I was ready to plan a party, right? Well, they wheeled a file cabinet in, threw an OSHA log on the desk, and said, here you go. I said, what's that? They said, work comp. I said, work who? I didn't know what that was. But when I got it, I started asking questions. Another key point. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And when I would get an answer to my question is, well, Mark, that's how we always do it, or that's how it's always been done. My philosophy has always been, is there a way to do it better? Can we do it differently? how do we enhance this to make it work better for the people that have to use workers' comp, as an example? How do we communicate with our team members? They have a lot of questions if they get hurt. What's the platforms that we can use? And there is a platform we use for that too. But at the end of the day, you can't be afraid to ask these questions and figure out what is the best way something works. So when I came here, the Strip traditionally used a program called Riskmaster. It's a fabulous program. It's a module-based program. It can do a whole lot of things. Most companies that had it probably used a 10th or 20th percentage of that program. That's great. If it works for you, perfect. I went out and said, if we're so savvy in newest technologies, what's out there? I found a technology called 5 Sigma. That company put together from the ground up a risk management tracking and claims platform for me that can communicate, and it runs on a meta-based platform. So, I mean, that's where everything is today, out in the cloud, using a meta-based platform.
So you consider yourself a techie? Like, are you like, hey, I'm a techie, like I know all this stuff back in my hand, or what?
Oh, shoot. Okay, so I learned to program back in the 70s when they were using punch cards. Okay. Am I a techie? I mean, I don't know a lot of the new languages today, but I had written computer programs. I enjoyed the whole technological side of computers. So I'm probably pretty dangerous when it comes to what runs behind the scenes in a computer scenario. I hope my IT department's not listening. No, I don't do anything here. Matter of fact, I work with them. I work with them so close.
Yeah, part of the point, I feel like what you're saying is you just enough information to be dangerous. Like you're still always learning, about these new technologies because you got to work with this department and they don't want to explain the most basic stuff, right? I mean, that helps you out in your partnerships.
It's funny you should say that about keeping that you're still learning, because a lot of people that get out of high school and college, they think they're done, right? Learning experience just started when you come out of school, because now you're going to learn the world and you're going to learn everything else. So one of the key takeaways I think that your audience should really keep in the back of their mind, be willing to keep learning. Got to keep going out there, hit webinars, network. You said you were on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's got a great learning platform. You can learn about anything on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
On it. And I've actually taken about 400 courses on LinkedIn in different areas that I don't know about. Because when you think about risk management and just claims in general, you got to understand the sociology, the psychology of a claim and the claimant. You got to understand negotiations. You got to understand how to read people and body language. You can learn this stuff on your own and continue to learn it. Is there schools out there? Yes, there are. And there's some very fine schools out there to learn and continue to learn. But you don't need to go run to the school to learn, because in today's world of the cloud and computers, you can learn anything. You could sign up for free courses at Harvard. That looks pretty good on the resume. I did at Harvard.
So
you did.
So is
you
this
took Harvard courses.
Is this what you would, you think about what you would tell the up and comer, right? Or what you would tell, obviously yourself, you did this when you were growing up, but those people that are trying to say, hey, look, I'd love to be an executive director of risk management for one of the, a huge property in Las Vegas. Like, is that part of the advice, is to, don't stop learning?
Well, yes, that's one of them. But, as a young person, it's kind of interesting, because I just had a conversation with one of my staff today, because he said, Mark, why did we do this thing a certain way? I don't quite understand it. why we didn't continue to fight on something. And I said, you know, you got to look at a bigger picture. You got to be flexible. You got to kind of understand what the consequences are to continue the fight. So only fight the fight that's worth fighting, and then figure out how to cut the losses or cut it as quickly and the best way that you can. You need to learn to negotiate. Just in life in general, you need to negotiate. Life is about negotiation. Understand the personal traits of the people you're dealing with. So even in my team, I did a team building exercise called Who's Who in the Zoo. You could pull it from online. There's a document that you fill out how you feel, and then it rates you in one of 4 different animals, and then that trait of that animal, you understand then what those traits are, so you know how to approach people, how to deal with people, what's important to them. You got to learn to sell yourself. That's one of the things I see lacking mostly today. People don't sell themselves. Nobody's going to sell you better than you. They're not. It's just, you know, if you go ask my boss, oh yeah, Mark does a great job. Okay, what is it specific that Mark does? Well, let me think about that on it. They know because I sell myself, I sell our programs, I sell the benefit of risk management. People think that we just spend money. They don't understand that in the 3 years that we've been open, our department has actually brought a bottom line trackable savings of $9.5 million to this property. This is money like when I go to my CFO and he's like, yeah, you guys just spend money. I said, okay, so what if you had an extra $9.5 million lying around? What would that do for you? And then he would tell me all these wonderful things. I said, well, you do. And I'd show him the spreadsheet and say, every claim we didn't send to the insurance company was $1,225. We handled it here. We took care of it.
Yeah, you got so you got to have those figures, like, you know, like I think part of it, and I've learned this, is that you try to anticipate questions that your boss or your whoever you're going in to see that you're trying to persuade, right? I mean, that's what you're saying is like you had those numbers like ready to go. Like you got to anticipate the question.
You know, one advantage of any business, especially when you look at something like a resort, we have a team dining room. You go to have lunch. You see the vice president of finance having lunch. Don't be afraid to walk up to them and sit down, join them for lunch, and show an interest in the career. What advice do they have? They light up like the brightest light that you could imagine, and they want to talk about what they do. When you understand what really gets them going, now you know how to approach your audience. And that's another key takeaway. Know your audience. Just as you said, Amber, you got to know what's important to them. What's important to my IT guy is not important to my retail guy. My retail guy wants to get retail in here and wants to sell stuff. The IT guy is all worried about hackers and phishing attempts and people not doing what they're supposed to do with their computers or getting out of the network or all kinds of stuff. So you got to understand where they go. In risk, you have that opportunity to sit down with every department and learn what they do. How do you achieve that? We use what's called enterprise risk management. It's a buzzword. Yeah, some people call it strategic risk management, but the concept is the same. Most businesses have silos. How do you break the silo down? How do you get the food and beverage guy to talk to the front desk guy or the convention guy? You got to understand what's important to them and what they feel their hurdles are. And that's what enterprise risk does. It identifies everything. It identifies the risk. It identifies what's important and what do we need to do to break the silo down to be able to help everyone function better as an organization and mitigate our risk across the whole enterprise. So that's an important thing. That's an important concept.
Yeah.
As an open company, you got to keep an open mind. You got to keep that open mind. And Don't be afraid to ask the questions, not being confrontational. A lot of times when you talk to a good lawyer, they do two things. One, they put the hat on of their opponent to understand if I'm the defense and you're the plaintiff, how are you going to come at this particular case? If I can understand how they're going to come at the case, I'm going to know how to defend the case in it. So you've got to kind of learn to read people. You got to kind of act dumb in a sense. Oh, really? Tell me about this.
Yeah,
You know?
people love the how so question, right? If they say something and then you're, oh, how so, right? I mean, people love talking about what they've got going on.
Yeah, and help me understand. When you get to know people, it's ironic. Most attorneys in town know me, but we also know each other. So when we're talking or we're at a networking event, which is another key takeaway, networking, is, you know, how's the soccer practice been going with your kids? Is your dad retiring soon?
Yeah.
What's going to happen with the business at that point? You got to kind of get it to more of a personal level, but keep enough distance so that you're effective on it. And you'll be surprised because you gather much more with honey than you do with vinegar, right?
Yes, no doubt. So let's talk about, as we wind it down here, best career advice that you've ever received.
Back in my high school days, in my first job, I think the best career advice I ever got was be flexible. And I live by that. You got to be flexible. You can't be hard-nosed, hardcore. I've watched people go out there, especially safety people. They're notorious. I'm not trying to embarrass or condescend on safety people. They're very important in what they do. But will an employee or an organization listen to you when you walk in and you sprout, well, that's a violation of OSA 1910-2460. Okay, I know what that means. They don't know what it means, and it means nothing to them on it. So you've got to kind of come in with that softer approach. What is it that we want to achieve, and how do you get it achieved on it? And it's not always giving in, but you got to sway people to start thinking your way. How do you do that? Not by getting aggravated, not by getting mad, because when you do that, you say things you shouldn't, and you tell people things that they probably is irrelevant to the whole conversation anyway. But if you're able to sit down and talk things out and get their perspective, just as you said, Edward, well, why do you think it should be this way? Tell me why it should be done this way. And that was some of the things I did in my early days in risk management. Please tell me why on it. Because if it's great, I'm not going to reinvent a wheel. But if it's not, if there's some ways of improving it, then we need to look at that and see what we need to do. So coming in as a young professional and in risk, you are a young professional when you're getting into this business, is don't be afraid to ask questions, be flexible. Don't be afraid to say no, because you have to have a work-life balance as well. Don't get sucked up into that. Yeah, I'm young, I'm gonna do this. Let me tell you, if I die today, there'll be somebody sitting in this chair in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a perfect perspective. And that's so true. Unfortunately, right? I mean, people, you think maybe you're indispensable, but unfortunately the organization carries on.
And it does. And here's the thing, a lot of people guard everything they do really close to the chest. They don't want to tell people their secrets. They don't want to tell people how things are done, because they're afraid then they won't have a job down the road. It's simply not true. You need to be grooming your team. My risk manager started out as an admin. My claims examiner started out as a clerk, and both have gone and built their careers forward and they're 3-4 levels up from where they started on it. I just hired a new person a few months ago, and he's learning and understanding what the ropes are in the business. And I have high hopes to get him promoted on it. My staff
so you're not scared of it. You're not like, oh, I'm only hiring dumb people. You're like, no, you have to hire people that you want, smart people around you when you're a competent, confident person.
Exactly that. That's exactly the whole thing. If you need to bring people in that make you look good.
Yeah.
But you can't be afraid not to share that.
Yeah.
Because I'm not one to take credit for what they do. When my boss says, hey, that was a great job, whatever it was, I said, yeah, person in my office, my risk manager did that. My claims examiner did that. My work comp specialist did that. Yeah, do I oversee the process? Yes. But if they did it, they need to get the credit for it. Because down the road, I want them to be looked at as, can these people advance and move up? Succession planning is critical in all business. And in risk management, we have a critical shortage. As there is in a lot of other fields, there's a critical shortage of talent. And as people like me retire and die off, you got to have people that are ready to come in and take over the reins. And don't have them try to reinvent the wheel or try to relearn what they should already know. So include them in meetings, include them in training, include them any way you can so that they are comfortable with starting to make those decisions. And then I have to learn to step back. I have to step back because I need them to start making those decisions. And then I will support whatever decision, right, wrong, or whatever. Because if it's wrong, you want to learn from that. Don't be afraid to make the mistake.
Well, Mark, this has been awesome having you in the TalkLP hot seat. We've got one last question because I'm telling you, I don't know how you do what you do. Because if I was in Resorts World, I'd probably be at the electronic roulette table like all day long. They wouldn't be able to find me. I wouldn't be in my office. But okay, but if you weren't an risk executive, what would you have been? What'd you miss out on?
I don't think I missed out on anything. I actually had a 17-year career in food and beverage. I'm chef trained as well. So is my wife. So we always battle who's doing the cooking.
Nice.
I was a pilot at one time and wanted to be a pilot at one time. But I don't think I missed out on anything. It's interesting how careers can take twists and turns. And I'm not one to just sit around and just live on the laurels that I've done. I'm always looking for that next adventure, the next thing to do. Maybe that's what propelled me to open Sky City in Auckland, New Zealand, or helping to open a casino in Tasmania, or opening a cruise ship, or a riverboat, or a London casino. You get out there and you learn other cultures, people, enjoy life, enjoy traveling, enjoying meeting and networking with people, because networking is the key.
Yeah.
Networking.
You don't make risk management sound boring at all. I mean, all those things, that's amazing.
It is not boring at all. Trust me. If it is, then you're not doing risk management.
You're doing it wrong. Well, thank you so much, Mark. I really appreciate it. I still fangirling Resorts World. If you haven't checked it out, Las Vegas, you better, because you're missing out. Thanks so much, Mark, for stepping into the TalkLP hot seat.
Thank you so much. This has been so great. I really appreciate it. Good luck to you next time you come out. Hopefully you win a few dollars.
Yes, I hope so. That machine is good to me. I've got to tell you. The key, Mark. Okay, let's tell the audience the key. The gambling key. Here it is. You have to play the zeros if you're playing roulette, right? You have to play the zeros. Green. It's green. It's good to you.
Oh yeah, we had a person come out and she plays $20 every time she comes out from one of the insurance companies, and she put her money down. Somebody said, "Oh, put it on red, put it on black," right? She did that, and it came up the green 00. So
See?
you never know. don't gamble more than you can lose.
Yes.
It's something to have a little fun. It's entertainment. Don't let it drag you down.
Don't
Enjoy
gamble your
yourself.
mortgage.
I don't really gamble a whole lot myself on it, but when I worked in a restaurant, if you work in a pizza restaurant, the last thing you want for dinner is pizza, right?
Yeah, I hear that
Uh,
about you in Las Vegas. That's awesome. All right. Well,
so you
thank you so
work in a
much, Mark.
casino.
We appreciate you.
All right, thank you so much.
Take care.
Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it. Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it.